And tough ending in LA, in a game which saw some wild swings, but always a lesson to learn from a loss and a close one. But a game we did some really good things and some not such good things, but give UCLA credit. We got home at 4:30. Took Sunday off, obviously. Took Monday off, and then kind of had an us day on Tuesday, and then kind of get back into the next opponent mode, which is Michigan. They're very, very good. They're a team that is got a lot of weapons. I love their bench. I think they've got just tremendous productivity from their bench, which has been a big key for them. They're very good at what they do. They play very fast. They get easy baskets, and then a team that is old, and they have experience. McKinney's truly one of the only young guys that plays for them, and he's grown and had tremendous development throughout the course of the season. So great challenge against two top 10 teams, and another opportunity for us to go out and improve ourselves and see what we're made of.
Assuming you said you had an us day on Tuesday, that was a chance for you to really reinforce the core beliefs of your program. What was that day like for you guys as a team?
Yeah, again, I think that the one thing we want our group to understand is it's the margins. It's the very, very small things. On the whole, we're doing a lot of things very, very well. And it's still our ceiling. Whether it's a missed free throw block out, whether it's a block out period, whether it's a lack of effort on a loose ball, whether it's whatever it is. And you want to go through those. You want to look at your mistakes that we're making in this. You want to withstand and get our guys to understand, variance, as I call it. When the teams do make 4 or 5 threes, it doesn't mean lose our mind. That means, and we did that. Then we started giving them layups. That's not what we do. And so, it's just the little things like that. And then, we still made, I think we made 3 switching mistakes. That's 3 too many. And when you do that at the highest levels against really good teams, you're going to you want to come up on the short end, and we can't do that. So a lot of that, and again, just a day that got back to just touching on a lot of those things.
What's the value of an us day at this point of the season, maybe late like this in the game?
Yeah, it's one of the challenges we have in the Big Ten is we play every night of the week, and so a lot of when you've got to take a mandatory day off a week, and you don't get a lot of those, and so it's very nice to have that. It was refreshing to kind of get caught up and then just touch on some things and not have to talk about an opponent. We didn't say one word about our next opponent. We just kept it about us and let's get better, and those don't happen very often.
How did you see your guys respond to what was a tough ending in UCLA?
Great. I think the one thing that we've established here is that we're going to learn from loss, and that we don't. We've been fortunate. We've won some games over the last few years, and it's never expected. It's earned, and when there is a loss, it's got to have a purpose. It's got to have growth behind it, and I think that's what we're at. And we're playing for a long run in March. We would love for there to be 6 games played in the NCAA tournament, and so it's all about preparing for those moments. So we understand that and got great purpose behind what we've got to learn from, and whether it's the last second play or whether it's the play in the first half when we stopped playing on on a drive and gave up a dunk. It's just those little things.
What makes Michigan's defense so good this year? I think it's top in Champaign. What do they do schematically that challenges a lot of teams?
Grow a guy 7'5" helps. Yeah, he's protects the rim at a very high rate, and they're very, very physical. They have a tremendous physicality about them. You know, they want to impede every cut. They're going to shove you into every ball screen. They've got great length with some of their perimeter guys, but I think just the one thing that stood out was the physicality with which they play, and that they're old. You know, they're grown men. You know, there's some 23, 24-year-olds out there. So it's an old, experienced team.
Morez was only here for a year, but felt like he was part of this program for longer. Will it be strange at all, coach against him tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't know if I ever worry about that. We've faced other former players. Morez is an unbelievable kid. I love him to death, and his time here was I hope just as beneficial for him as he was for us. I always look at guys while we have them. They're part of our family. They make decisions for whatever the reasons, and you wish them well. I don't begrudge anybody, or in today's world, I hope I'm not that petty. But he's a very talented player. I told their coach, in the summer, I said I think he's a future pro. Somebody else will decide that, but he's tough. He plays very hard, and he's impacted that team.
Dusty played 2 7-footers a lot last year. How does this year's 3 big lineup kind of differ from maybe Vlad and Danny?
Yaxel's different. He's a lottery pick, and he's more of probably a small forward than just the matchups at the 4 or 5. You're throwing a 6'8" guy out there at 6'7", 6'8", whatever Yaxel is, and we know Morez is 6'9", but there's a lot of the game that's played with just him as a 4 and Morez. A day's playing 20, 24 minutes, 25 minutes, and so they play a good chunk of the game, and they bring Cheddar in, or Roddy Gale, which they play. They can put some small lineups out there. So it's a little different than last year, obviously with that group just starting. But it's he's usually got one of them out before the 16-minute mark.
Some wide-ranging implications in this game as far as seeding the Big Ten tournament and the NCAA tournament. Do you talk about that with the guys, or just kind of focus on the task at hand?
I haven't looked 1 second. I couldn't tell you the Big Ten standings, and I mean that. I couldn't tell you what that is. Michigan's obviously in a position to win the league, but I couldn't tell you who's where. That is an absolute waste of my time. I do care about and look at the analytics and where we're at in the net and the Kim Palm and Torvik and all of that. So I pay attention to that because it's got wide-ranging stuff that helps me gauge my team much more than any of that. But so to answer your question, I have no idea. I know there's a team that we're playing on Friday that's awfully good.
Probably know Morez's game as well as the coach in the Big Ten. How have you seen him grow from where he was as a freshman?
And doing a lot of the same things. Plays a lot of dribble handoffs. He's an elite roller. He's a very, very good shot blocker. He's I've said this. I think he's one of the best out of position rebounders that I coached, especially for a guy that I just had 1 year as a freshman. But he's got a great motor. He competes, and doing a lot of the same things. On the offensive side that we were doing here. I think he's taken a few more threes with them, but that's systemically, a lot of the same things.
Were there things that frustrated you with Merck the other night in LA, or was it just maybe he didn't match up great against them?
No, he was in foul trouble. You know, he got a couple of really cheap fouls, and you know, then they went very small late. Should have brought him back in. We can't win without Merck, and Merck's one of the, you know, Merck's a very, very good player. He initiates a lot for us. He's a very good rebounder for us. And you know, if I have one regret, it's that he wasn't back in the game. But he, you know, he fought foul trouble and got a fourth one and had to set a good deal. But I didn't go back to him, which is totally on me.
Keaton had 3 lobs to Z for dunks against UCLA. Was that just something you maybe in that game in particular that was open, or was that an emphasis to get him going at the rim a little bit?
Yeah, that's something that Z's become a very, very good cutter. And, you know, he plays off that 3-point jump shot a lot. It was nice to see him without a mask, and that will help him. But, you know, he can go places vertically that not many people can go to, and he's figuring that piece out with his cutting and then, you know, his ability in the dunkers to score. So, yeah, it was a nice connection, and it, you know, it's something that I think moving forward is a very, very good option for us.
Up against guys like Mara and Merez, is playing Tommy and Z both on the floor at the same time something you could do to match that physicality?
We'll see. Want me to give you my scouting report so you can print it and let them see it? Maybe give me a little bit of a credit here, but anything's an option.
What were some points of emphasis defensively this week in practice? How much do you look back at UCLA as opposed to just focusing on Michigan?
Yeah, both. I think the one thing that we're it goes back to our daily vitamins. I mean, we want to be a team that protects the rim, and we got away from that against these guys just because a couple of guys made a couple of shots, a couple of low percentage, low volume 3-point shooters made a few, and again, it's you know, it's no different than playing poker. Sometimes you get good cards, sometimes you get bad cards, and you have to live through those moments, and we've gotten impatient in those moments, and we can't do both. You can't guard there's no way to guard the perfect defense. There's just no way. Sometimes the offense is just good, and so you can't take everything away. You have to be very decisive in what you're going to live with, and what you're not afraid to lose with, and what we did in the UCLA game was something that we didn't give ourselves a chance because we panicked a little bit too much because a couple guys hit a couple threes.
In this offseason, you lost an All Big Ten caliber forward in Merez when you get Merck, another All Big Ten caliber. What's it say about your guys' ability to find, get, and then develop guys who fit that system?
Well, you know, and I'm not a guy to brag. That's not what I'm trying to do here. But I think, you know, we've had 7 pretty good years where no matter who we've lost, there's been an ability to go out and find another fit. And it may look different, it may be different, it may be a different age. And you know, I think that 7 years of 20 straight regular season wins has shown some consistency. I hate losing people that I really like, and yet I understand in this world that everybody's got decisions to make and choices to make, and my job is to move to the next and not dwell on that and go find that guy who best fits our program and system. So I think our consistency over time has shown that I've got a great staff. We've got a lot of really positive things going for us here, and that if we do lose one, we need to go find a replacement that can hopefully be as good or maybe different, looks different, but go do some of the same things.
How's Keaton's left shoulder feeling? Did you have to have some treatment?
Yeah, he's had a lot of treatment. There's no doubt it's a hard fall. You know, it's a part of basketball. I think it shows how tough he is. You know, he had a pretty good stinger and a little jolt through the shoulder and the neck, and so. But he's dedicated. He's tougher than heck.
Have you guys ruled out a return for Ty this season, or is there a point where it wouldn't make sense for him to earn the year of eligibility?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have much to do with that. It has everything to do with health and just getting back to 100% and not, you know, if he had been, you know, he had some complications and some other challenges, and I think, you know, if he had been 100%, we would have had some different conversations. But, you know, to me, it's always about the health and the well-being, and until you get them 100% healthy, there's not a whole lot to even spend time thinking about it. And it's you know, we want his health to be first and foremost.
I guess just to be clear, is that do you expect him at any point from here?
In practice,
Not in the
he's not healthy yet. Completely healthy. He can practice, but it's not at a full strength yet in terms of the leg strength and the atrophy and everything else that's going on. But he's been very good in practice. He's been explosive, and that's been exciting as heck to see. But we've got to be fair to him as well.
This is
Obviously,
one of the-
two really good basketball teams, obviously, two top 10 teams. What's going to tip the scale one way or the other?
It's always a few possessions. I think we can't give them easy stuff. I think that it's you know, there's some contrasting styles. They're primarily a rolling team. We're a popping team with our bigs. You know, I think you've got to you know, as for us, you've always got to win the battle on the glass or try to. You know, as what happens in high-level games like this, it's a few possessions, and you've got to execute. You've got to be tough-minded, and it's usually what it comes down to.
Any lingering effects of Kylan unexpectedly running into a brick wall and needing stitches?
Yeah, swollen lip, and I did. The best thing about that is I learned a new rule, and that I didn't know, and you know, it didn't cost us, but I did learn the rule that, or forgot it, I guess, if I knew it, that when there is blood, that the opposing team doesn't get to pick the shooter. And that did happen in the game. The opposing team picked the shooter. But when Keaton goes down and there's no blood, even though that they commit a foul in both cases, they got to pick the shooter. So just a unique rule. Because I had to call, because I don't think the rules. I think the rule's not a very good one. When an opposing team commits a mistake and a foul and hurts a player and injures it, they still get to pick the shooter. But that was put in a long time ago because people, you know, like when you played, you were a bad free throw shooter. They subbed your butt out so that people would fake an injury. So I get the reason. But if there's blood, we get to pick the shooter. So
3 overtime losses at this point in the season, how much of a difference do you think that will make come March, giving your guys a chance to prepare and reset to the daily life?
yeah, an overtime loss means nothing. I think it's, you know, we've had just so many games we pulled away and won in. It just, again, it always goes back to whether it's overtime or the regular time. It's always about the margins, and you have to win those. You have to win those opportunities. You have to win those possessions, and so I don't look at it like that. Yeah, you've got to be better. I mean, we got to tip in at the buzzer, you know, or we thought close to the buzzer. We did a lot of good things there. They made a play. We didn't execute very well, you know, on that play. And so too much emphasis gets put on a play or an overtime. It's not that. It's what goes on in the 67 other plays in the possessions that were in that game, or whatever it was.
You said you guys can't win without David. We would say David is at his best when he's doing what?
Initiating, facilitating, rebounding, making shots for others, making shots for himself. He just creates a lot of opportunity for others, and he's a great decision maker. And we continually need that on the court. We need his physicality, we need his motor, we need his toughness. And all of those things play into that.
Michigan,
This will be the last one.
they're the best defensively in the country at forcing like 2-point distance. Obviously, that is not something you guys like to do, is take long twos. So how do you What have you seen in film that makes them good at it? Is it just teams don't want to deal with their 7'5" guy at the rim, or how do you combat that?
I think it's maybe as much as other teams' philosophies than it is what they give up. You know, I'm sure that teams probably see that with Z when you've got a day back there that, okay, well, let me just stop short and shoot it. And you know, the same thing with Z. You know, they've got a 45% rate of giving up threes. You know, so they give up, again, you know, they're going to protect the two and the best they can protect the front of the rim, and they've got a guy like we do that does it at a very high level. So, yeah, you got to pick your opportunities when they're there, and you know, shot selection and is an important piece of it. So I know what we emphasize. I can't tell you what other teams emphasize. So, you know, that's probably a great stat for them, and probably why they're number one in the country defensively is teams take those shots against them.
Thanks, Coach.